It is time for our backyard blitz, and well, we have lots of people, we have lots of brain power here, lots of creativity. We are going to be doing not just the backyard, but the patio area as well. And I have Tom here from Decks of Distinction, and we're going to take the concrete slab kind of everywhere in central Indiana with the new housing developments, and we're going to give it basically a personality and some function, right? What are we going to do here?
That's right. We're going to add a pergola over the top of it to create a little bit of shade and make a better transition from the inside to the outside.
We're also not going to leave it a concrete slab, right? We're going to touch that up as well?
That's right. We're going to put bluestone over the concrete patio.
It's going to be beautiful, and once you step off this patio and this pergola, it was, well, basically it was a clean slate.
It was, and a lot of people, you know, you build these brand new houses and what you get are maybe a bush or two, but basically just a big empty yard. And Cheryl, we have a beautiful plan here in front of us with some of the designs. What all are we going to be putting in here?
Yes, we're going to create a beautiful architectural focal point as a resting place for the eye out in the yard. We're also going to create a garden room by developing a lot of low-maintenance plant material and beef up the color big time.
Beef up the color big time. Fun stuff, and the sun is starting to come out, so we're going to be able to see all that color. We're going to get our hands dirty. This is actually not a one-day project. This is a very big, very involved project. We're going to be working hard for a couple days, so you can stay with us for all that.
We haven't gotten started, but the people responsible have gotten started. And Ron and Cheryl are here from Jacques Designs, and we have the finished rendering, which in and of itself is suitable for framing.
Yeah, it really is. You could frame this thing.
Thank you very much.
What sort of, actually, I'm going to take off here in a second, but I want to know what sort of things did you, this was a clean slate. Is that an advantage for someone, a landscape designer, or do you prefer to go with what's existing?
I like a clean slate, actually, and there was really no context, nothing existing in the backyard, so we decided to develop this beautiful bluestone patio over the existing concrete patio.
Which is where I'm going. So.
Yeah, and then we did a beautiful perennial border to create some context and to give it a garden-esque feeling with a lot of low-maintenance plant material.
I'm going to go hang out by the house.
Okay, Tracy's going to get started on the patio. We're going to see that in a little bit, but let's take a look at that before picture. This is what it looked like when we came and saw a little while ago a clean slate, like Cheryl said. Pretty much nothing there. You can see just the concrete slab there. And now, if you take a look, they've started the bed preps. Now, Ron, let's talk a little bit about bed preps. You guys came out here yesterday and you started it. Is that because you knew it was going to do a little bit of storming last night?
Yeah, with the rain, you know, coming, you can't really do much of this bed prep when it's soaking wet, or it just makes a big mud pile everywhere. So we ran the sod cutter and stripped all this sod already, and they just have to peel it up.
Let's take a look at actually some of the stuff you did yesterday, and we can talk about that. We're seeing that right now. You guys came out here, and first thing you do is you get the sod up, right?
Right. Yeah, the sod gets peeled up just like that, so you don't have to worry so much about the grass coming back up. It works better than just killing it with Roundup or something.
Okay.
Then you spread 2 or 3 inches of good black topsoil on top. That's to make up for the Indiana clay, which everybody knows is impossible to dig in and not good for your plants.
That's right.
So that helps fix the pH. It helps loosen the soil up so the plants can root a little bit. Once that's all done, you just cut a sharp edge on there and a nice deep little V trough. Let me grab a shovel.
Okay.
You cut a nice little deep V in the grass like this. And that sharp edge, you fill it in with mulch, and that makes it so there's no dirt there for the grass to grow back into the beds, and that helps.
That's already been done here.
Yeah, that helps with the maintenance of Kevin, keep the edges nice and clean.
And that's how you can keep that nice clean edge.
Sure. People like to use the plastic edging and stuff, but the grass will grow right under that and still come up in the beds.
And it's not nearly as pretty. Really quickly, that sod, is that useful sod?
You can cut it up and try to save it, and if it's good enough, it'll all come up neatly and you can relay it. A lot of times, part of the reason why we're here doing this is because they're not having good luck with their yard, and a lot of times it's junky stuff, and we just take it out and throw it away.
Sure. Okay. Here's how you can find Jacques. They are the fabulous design team who is working on this. There's where you can find them. Log on to our website for more information, and there's the phone number to call.
It is our Backyard Blitz. We are in Avon this morning, and we are very pleased to be making over Dan and Sheila Lynn's backyard. And helping us do that are Cheryl and Ron Jacques from Jacques Landscape Design. And we are taking this, as I call it, for a drab slab. Very prevalent in developments in central Indiana and across North America, for that matter. Just a rectangle. What have you decided to do to this, and what made you come to the conclusions of what you wanted to see here?
We decided to go over the existing concrete patio with bluestone because it has an old world feeling, a more established look, and it makes a very stable patio. It doesn't rock or shift or anything, and it just looks more traditional and interesting.
I'm guessing it looks a little less stark, a little softer compared to just the...
It's going to look more garden-esque. It's going to be more in context with the beautiful pergola that Tom's putting together, and it's going to finish the patio look.
Okay. And installing this, I'm guessing, is a little more than just laying them out over the top of the concrete. What's involved with this?
Exactly. You got to make sure if you're going to go over the existing concrete that it's in good shape. And this has been in for a couple, 3 years, and it hasn't fallen apart, and it looks stable.
Right.
So we're going to use that. You lay out your new shape. You use steel edging to hold it all together. You bring in gravel, compact it down, and bring it up to the level of the concrete.
Sure.
And then over here you bring in just enough sand to use as a leveler, so all the different thicknesses of stone can all come out flat on the top.
And that way, if it happens to be a little off, you can adjust easily.
Exactly.
A little more sand, a little less sand.
And a lot of people build the patio on all sand, and they don't use any gravel, and that's not stable in the long term. Sooner or later, that's going to be really wiggly. So the gravel is really for structure.
How big a concern is drainage around here? Because, like you see, you're using the edging, but is there a tilt that's necessary? Is it perfectly level?
It's got maybe a 2 or 3% slope running from one side to the other. The gravel itself will actually flow water through it. The gravel that's under the concrete slab will flow water through it. And then we do other things, like all the downspouts actually run into pipes and run away, so this is not an issue.
If we could take a closer look at the bluestone here.
Sure.
What about maintenance? What are we talking here? Just set it and leave it, or?
Yeah, bluestone, it's a natural material, so there's going to be some irregularity to it. And it does have a little bit of flaking over time, but not a lot. And if you're going to sweep your patio, you're going to sweep it enough to take care of that stuff. But that's the beauty of a natural product.
Okay, cool. This sounds great. If you want more information, or you want to tap them for design information, or preferably work, right?
Yeah, sure.
We'll put the number up on the screen for you. It is 462-7557.
All right, we're getting ready to plant the trees. We've already started with some of the smaller plantings. We're going to be finishing it up tomorrow. We got a lot of work to do. Here's a tree, big old root ball here, and we were just talking about this a second ago. People always ask if you're supposed to remove the burlap and stuff, and you say no.
Yeah, this tree was just dug last fall, and you can literally shred the burlap off with your fingers. It's falling apart. And there's absolutely no reason to take it off, and it's actually, you got the bad piece.
The one piece.
I saved that one for you. See, this is the easy one.
Let's get this guy in the ground. This is a big flowering crabapple, right?
It is a flowering crabapple.
Okay.
You ready? 1, 2, 3. There you go.
Oh, nice. Look at a little splash. There's a little bit of rain in there. Did we get it in? Good. All right, now we just have to fill it in with some soil around it, right?
Yep.
And this stuff has already been tilled, so it's already pretty loose. Or maybe it's just been dug. And we fill it in. What's behind you over there, Ron?
We've got burning bush behind us. They're known for their fantastic red fall color.
Yeah, really pretty.
There's a Colorado blue spruce in the corner over there.
Pretty.
And it's too early to put them in until we get all the big stuff done, but there's a bunch of perennials going in here, and the idea is to have it so there's color at different times of the year, so there's always something good to look at.
So it's like a four-season garden.
Exactly.
There's different stuff going on. Yeah, so especially in the fall when that burning bush gets some red foliage on it, and it'll have the greenery behind it. That's really nice. That's what you get when you call someone like Brower Jacques and they do the entire design for you. Really pretty.
Now, in drier conditions, we may want to be concerned about watering it, but today maybe not so much.
Today you could totally neglect everything. Yeah, a new landscape you water every day for a couple of weeks, and then different plants have different requirements, so that's when you have to listen to us.
Now, Ron, when we first put the tree in the ground, we heard that splash, because there actually was some sitting water. Nothing wrong with that.
No, it's okay to do that. It may be a little bit soupy and muddy and harder to fill it in, and the tree may settle a little bit crooked, where if it was dry, it would be sitting on something firm on the bottom. But it's easy. It's easy for the first few months to just straighten it back out.
If we were planting this a couple weeks ago, before we'd had all this rain, you'd want to maybe bring a hose and let it sit there?
Well, it's easier to plant it dry and then water it.
Okay.
But again, it's not a big deal. Either way, it's 90% the same work.
Tracy's done.
We appreciate that Bravo Jacques Landscape and Decks of Distinction have joined us in making a Fox Fans morning. We basically started with a clean palette, didn't we? It was a clean slate.
Yeah, it was yesterday. There was a slab of pavement, and it was basically just a blank yard yesterday. The work started yesterday. Let's go ahead and take a look at what all happened yesterday. And Ron, if you can talk to us some about some of the landscaping. Ron is with Bravo Jacques, and you guys put together this design and really started plugging some stuff into the ground.
Yeah, exactly. We done the bed prep first and stuff. We got the major plantings in, the big trees, the bigger shrubs first. Moved on to some of the smaller stuff, did some mulch, finished compacting the sand and the gravel, and started laying the stone there, and we have that almost wrapped up. A few more little plants to put in. We're pretty good now. We're ready to go.
Hey, Cheryl with Bravo Jacques is with me right now, and we're going to do some planting, right? Correct. Now, eventually, there'll be a cool piece of ironwork. You're going to see that later on that'll go here. And what are we planting, sort of to...
We're putting in some, go along with it? Putting in some clematis, and this is going to grow up the focal point, the obelisk. And we've created a little gravel circle here so that it won't be a maintenance problem later for them, to have weeds around it. And we've got an interesting planting scheme going on. We've got some hydrangeas in the background, and that'll give beautiful summer color. And we've massed them together. That is part of the tip of trying to put your plant material together. Seasonal color, mash your plantings, and try to allow for some growth in between them.
Yeah, we actually have some of those. Let's take a look at that list, because these are some good things for you at home to remember as you're putting those, as you're planting your garden. You want to sort of mass together similar plants or similar colors. Is that just more aesthetically pleasing?
Yes, it is. I think if you don't mass them, it gets a confused mazy effect, and it doesn't look pulled together.
Yeah. One of the other big ones you were talking about yesterday, and we were talking some more about today. All right, I'm not getting very far in this hole, so let's start just planting. One of the other big ones is think about how much work you want to do, how much maintenance you can handle in your garden as you pick your plants, and then pick ones that are either a lot of work or less work, maybe.
Yeah, the homeowner basically told me that they didn't want to do a lot of maintenance, so we tried to use ornamental grasses. We tried to use things that weren't going to require a lot of care.
Right.
And the obelisk was a major feature in that. We tried to give them some vining plants, something that would give them some seasonal change.
All right, so we're going to keep going on this. These will actually grow up the piece that you'll see later. So you're going to see this finished area a little bit later. Tracy, you're hard at work on a different area of the yard. Tell me what's going on over there.
Well, I don't know about hard at work, but I'm here with Ron, and we're finishing up the patio. Basically, it's kind of, I don't want to say floating, it is embedded in the sand, and we're putting the last few pieces in, and it's a pretty simple process, right?
Exactly, yeah. Once it's all compacted and level, you use just enough sand to make the different thicknesses of stone all come out the same in the end.
You don't want to stub any toes.
Right, and you just get the last pieces fit in place.
Okay.
And if you cut them all right, they should fit right in. And like one goes in there, and one goes in here, and we have a piece pre-cut for right there.
Is this simple enough? Obviously, people would want to call Bravo Jacques and have this done for them, but if they wanted to try it themselves or feeling handy, how hard is it for someone to
If you're handy enough to do it and make it work right, then yeah, you can do it yourself. You just got to make sure you do all the steps properly, or you're going to have troubles with it lasting and staying level.
A lot of people get excited. They want to hurry up a project, but each step is important.
Yes.
You brush that in and it stays loose?
Yeah, they stay loose like that. The sand keeps them from wiggling around.
Okay.
It's going to settle in a little bit. You may have to sweep it once or twice more in the next 6, 8 weeks.
All
or
right.
something.
Been very busy. I'm here with Cheryl Jacques from Bravo Jacques Landscape Design, and you specifically wanted a trellis for this project.
Yes.
Why?
It's very common to have a space in between two windows. It's very narrow, and the homeowner typically would like to have something vining up.
Sure.
And it's very hard to get something tall that's not going to grow too wide. And I love site-specific architectural details like this.
Softens up a plain wall.
Yes, and breaks it up.
Now, do you always sort of recommend ironwork? I know trellises can be made out of cedar, or they can be made out of plastic, any number of items. Do you have preferences, or does it depend on the project?
I think it depends on the project and the inspiration that the site gives you. And this had a very linear look, so I wanted to break it up with something very vertical and have a lot of curving elements to it. So you can do something that's very specific to the site, and I think that's better.
Again, the curves, like the undulating beds, keep it away from too many straight lines.
Correct.
Keep it away from being too, retentive, right? So we're going to put this in the ground. Now, you've got it a little bit away from the wall. I'm Guessing there are some dangers with having climbing plants adhering to
Yes.
home surfaces?
And actually some adhere by vining to it. Some actually adhere by vining around the element, so it won't be able to cling to the house unless you have something like this.
Okay, great. If you want to tap into the genius that is Cheryl and Ron from Jacques Landscape Design, the number right there on the screen, 462-7557.